Hey guys, so this is not one of my usual videos, but it concerns a controversy between the Asian countries, and I feel like that's close enough to my usual stuff that it's worth covering. Please let me know if you guys are interested in me doing more crime videos like this, if this is like what you want to hear. I'm just kind of experimenting with the channel right now to see what sticks. And if I fuck up in this video, please forgive me. I am not used to doing this. So it's Sunday night, and while I'm browsing online, it comes to my immense curiosity that all my friends are in the midst of discussing the K-pop castration scandal. And I'm like, oh, what fucking horror is this? Has Korea started to castrate their K-pop stars? And as it turns out, it ended up being, as expected, one hell of a dark and crazy story. Now, before I get into it, fair warning to you guys, this is a spicy XR rated piece of content. This story consists of sexual assault, orgies, K-pop celebrities, international politics, and ultimately genital castration, so totally not a kid-safe story. Kids, don't watch this video, and yeah, if any of these topics are going to make you uncomfortable, just leave now, don't watch this one. So it took me a bit to piece this one together because there's a lot of different countries covering the story in a lot of different ways, a lot of different angles, and they're having a really, really hot argument about who's in the right, who's in the wrong. There's a lot of he said, she said, a lot of they said, and it's all different countries, and there are also K-pop stans were involved. And K-pop stans strongly fight for what they believe in, but I think they're in the wrong this time because the truth is what really matters. And K-pop stans, please don't attack me. I love you guys. I grew up in Korea. Like, K-pop stans can be really rabid sometimes. I'm not a huge K-pop fan, but yeah, I lived a few happy years in Korea, and I always wanted to go see Psy. I think Psy's hilarious. Anyway, now, the way the story was originally pitched to me, a major K-pop star went to China, accidentally broke one of their laws, and now they're cutting his dick off. And I was like, what the fuck is that? They're giving him an illegal sex change against his will? Is China just cutting off everyone's dick now? Because, you know, China, they're known for being really, really hard on criminals. Well, okay, so that's not even close to what really happened. Here's the real story. Now, if you know about K-pop, one of the biggest bands in K-pop history is E.X.O. Or is it E.X.O? I'm not sure if it's EXO or you're supposed to pronounce the letters literally. Anyway, they're one of the hottest boy bands ever created, and they have a massive roster of between 9 or 12 active members. Now, I always thought EXO was distinctly Korean, but it's not that simple. They actually do music for Korea, China, and Japan. And as it turns out, they actually do a lot of collaborations with China. And as it turns out, actually, even some of their members are actually Chinese and not Korean. Which brings us into this dramatic story. Now, the subject of the story is founding member of E.X.O, Chris Wu, and the scandal that has surrounded him is so immense that he's been kicked out of the band over this. But there are layers to it, like really, really complicated layers. Now, to start with, I originally read the Korean version of the events, which are that, as we all know, teenage girls be horny as fuck. And the number one thing they're horny for? Boy bands, of course. Now, somehow throughout history, no teenage girl has ever managed to be skilled enough, fast enough to actually catch a boy band. But then came along Chris Wu, and in his loneliness, in his horniness, in a moment of weakness, he broke the prime directive and allowed himself to be caught by a teenage girl. Now, the Korean version, I just gotta be real, it's missing a lot of the details. It really, cherry picks what happened, it really glosses the events. And it just fast forwards to the end of the story where suddenly Chris Wu Boohoo is in prison, found guilty in a Chinese kangaroo court, sentenced to 10 years for banging an underage girl, plus 1 additional year in prison for the additional crime of conducting an orgy. Because as it turns out, he actually had a 3-way with an underage girl and a girl who was not underage. Fascinating. Now, upon being found guilty, Chinese media immediately canceled him. They boycotted anything he was involved in, any merchandise featured him, and they additionally decided to prosecute him for tax evasion. But the big deal, the thing that everyone's discussing, is that since he was convicted of committing sex crimes in China, the punishment for sex crimes in China is chemical castration. And the Korean version, once again, it super glosses over like what he actually did, and it's mostly just like, oh, what the fuck, these Chinese barbarians, they're gonna castrate our beloved K-pop idol. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, he was my biggest sexual fantasy, and now I will never have sex with him. Now, meanwhile, the Chinese version of the story, a little bit more detailed, a little bit more justified that this dude is a creep who got what he deserved by the iron hand of Chinese justice. Now, according to the Chinese version, this is the culmination of a year-long battle by Wu's underage teenage girlfriend, who, okay, she was underage when he started dating her, but now she's like a 19-year-old like lady of the court. Anyway, so while she was with him, she apparently saw him go full Bill Cosby on like 7 additional girls, getting them drunk, getting them drugged, and then raping them. So as it turns out, she was also the 3rd girl in that orgy that he was convicted for, and yeah. Now, additionally, his girlfriend personally wanted him to be punished, and she personally wanted him to write a written apology to every single woman he raped, and she wanted his ultimate punishment to be his permanent banishment from China to never return. But now this shit gets even more twisty, because it turns out Chris Wu is not Chinese, he's not Korean, he's a goddamn Canadian from Canuck. So that brings things full circle to the most vague version of the story. The Canadian version of the story, because I guess Canada is just so far removed from China after all. Now in Canada, they've really oversimplified it and boiled it down to, hey buddy, did you hear the one about the famous Canadian celebrity who went to China and he committed a crime and now they're gonna cut his dick off? And yeah, I know we're not talking about Ryan Reynolds, but the way it's kind of phrased and imagined in this scenario, you kind of need to imagine it's Ryan Reynolds, because they're like almost literally implying that what if this happened to Ryan Reynolds? And if that's their point, well, I mean, if he raped 7 teenage girls, I guess he would have deserved having his dick cut off. But anyway, the conversation then pivots to whether or not China is justified in chemically castrating anyone. And I'm gonna say yes. Because in China, since this is the standard punishment, and it is a punishment only deserved for serial rapist pedophiles, which, like it or not, this guy is unfortunately a serial rapist pedophile. That's what he was accused of. That's what he was convicted of. He was fully proven to be guilty, fully proven to be a serial rapist, and there's not really a lot of leeway to twist the story. It's just, yeah, he used to be a popular celebrity that a lot of people like, but turns out he's a creep, and he does sex crimes for fun. For what it's worth, this punishment isn't even that uncommon. It's actually kind of standard for a lot of the East Asian countries, with a few exceptions. Anyway, definitely Pakistan and Thailand also do it, so... So, yeah, this bro was like Korean Bill Cosby, except he's young and he's hot and he got convicted and punished. Oh, but wait, it's not over yet. The plot has thickened. So then, apparently, he was actually additionally sentenced to being deported from China like his girlfriend wanted. But with the condition that he still has to serve his decade-long court sentence, and he also still has to be chemically castrated, so his dick will never work again, and he will never make the K-pop babies. Oh, and on top of all that, they also fined him $84 million in Chinese tax evasion. Jesus. That's a really big fall. Now, that's such a big fall that I would expect the average person to kill themselves over that. Like, I think there's no coming back from this. Like, if he serves out his sentence, he'll be broke, he'll be addicted to estrogen, and he'll be in jail for a decade. And also, I bet he's going to get really fat from all the estrogen they're going to give him. Wait, fuck, they're giving him estrogen? Whoa, yeah, I'm reading up on it. Like, they're literally planning to pump him full of estrogen and the chemical that makes pregnant women make breast milk. So, yeah, that dude is going to be completely fucked after this. Like, those chemicals are going to, like, completely warp his body and his brain. And, yeah, this is apparently China's most extreme measure for punishing the absolute worst pedophiles. it's such an extreme punishment that it's rarely carried out because it's more of like a scare tactic to convince people to never commit pedophilia. But yeah, so now the conversation online is this too extreme? Is there a dramatic irony in turning male rapists into transgender females as an ultimate punishment? I don't know, but I kind of wonder if it has anything in common with China's bizarre female shortage and the bizarre way they kind of respect or disrespect trans women in China. I don't know. I'm not from China. I can't really say on what goes on there, but it seems like China does things pretty extremely anyway. Now, because Canada and Korea want to save this guy, they want to downplay his crimes, they want to bring him back, they want to do any kind of legal finagling to like save this man from the estrogen injections and just bring him back to Korea or China or Canada. I think the dude would still be fucked financially in this scenario, but yeah, if he could avoid Chinese prison, he could probably like at least salvage the rest of his life. By the way, there has been one other interesting development since a few days have played out since the whole announcement. China is actually now reconsidering the qualifications for a celebrity over this case, because to them, again, it's just like, why the fuck was this rapist a celebrity? Well, he was a celebrity first, then a rapist, but to them it's like, this can never happen again, so they're like trying to like put some kind of safeguard in place to prevent it from happening again, but I really don't think this was anything that anyone could prevent or stop. So, Anyway, discuss in the comments what you think about this. Like, is Chris Wu a misunderstood musical wonder king, or is he the Bill Cosby of K-pop? It's really racist to me to write off the man's crimes just because he committed them in China. But also, dude played around in communist China, and now they're going to cut off his dick. Or chemically castrate him, rather. So, yeah, I guess he's getting what he deserved. And for that matter, should all rapists get this? Should all rapists be... Don't ask me that. That's making my head spin. I regret reading the story. Alright, don't expect me to ever talk about K-pop ever again, but the dramatic legal trouble between different Asian countries, that fascinates me, so here we are. Alright, thank you guys. Like I said, I probably won't talk about this subject or K-pop again, but hey, if there's anything this dramatic or interesting, I'll bring it up. Alright, please subscribe and please get my watch views up. I once again need 900 something hours of watch views to get monetized, so please, if you guys care about me, watch my stuff for at least an hour today. Alright, thanks, good night, goodbye.